Friends, today I'm going to tell you the painful story of a newlywed bride who cried the entire night on her wedding night. After hearing this heartbreaking story, tears will come to your eyes as well. But what this orphaned bride discovered about her husband just 72 hours later will leave you absolutely speechless. To know what really happened on her wedding night and the shocking truth that changed everything, watch this video till the end. I sat on the bed in my beautiful white nightgown, tears streaming down my face, trying to understand what had just happened to my life. Just hours ago, I had been the happiest woman in Memphis, walking down the aisle in my wedding dress, believing I was about to start a beautiful new life with the man I loved. Now I felt like my entire world had crumbled completely. My name is Asha Williams, and the moment we entered our bedroom and my new husband, Jelani, closed the door behind us, everything changed in an instant. His warm, loving expression disappeared completely, replaced by a cold, harsh look that I had never seen before. He looked at me like I was something disgusting. Girls from good families bring cars, furniture, jewelry, and thousands of dollars as dowry when they get married, he said, his voice cold and cutting. And what did your uncle give? Some cheap pots and pans and $1,500? What makes you think you can live in my house like a queen? I felt like I had been slapped. Jelani, I don't understand. Your mother said the dowry didn't matter. My mother says things to keep peace. But we expected much more from you. We thought your uncle was being modest. We didn't know he was actually poor and worthless. He pulled out a pillow and blanket. I'll sleep on the floor. Tomorrow my mother will give you your real responsibilities. You'll learn your place here. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I cried silently, not wanting to disturb anyone. I kept thinking about his promises during our engagement, his gentle treatment when we were getting to know each other. Had it all been an act? But this was just the beginning of my nightmare. What I would discover about my husband just 3 days later would shock me beyond imagination. Now let me take you back to how this nightmare started. I am an orphaned girl from a very poor family in Memphis, Tennessee. My parents died in a house fire when I was very young, and my uncle Jerome took me in at his home in Orange Mound. But my Aunt Keisha didn't like me and treated me like a servant. I did all the household chores, waking at 5 a.m. to make breakfast, cleaning, washing, and ironing Uncle Jerome's work shirts for his FedEx job. If I made mistakes, Aunt Keisha would scold me harshly. I couldn't even eat with the family. I ate leftovers alone in the kitchen. When I turned 18, marriage proposals started coming for both me and my cousin Imani. But everyone who visited ended up liking me more, which made Aunt Keisha furious. She decided I needed to marry quickly so Imani could find a husband. Sister Naomi, who arranged marriages in our community, brought a proposal from Jelani Brooks, a 54-year-old supervisor at a logistics company. His family lived in a beautiful house in Whitehaven and seemed like good Christian people. When we met at his family's house, Jelani was incredibly handsome and charming. He asked about my dreams, listened to my stories, and made me feel special. During our engagement, he was perfect, bringing flowers, talking about our future, and promising to love and cherish me. Once we're married, you'll never worry about anything, he would say. My mother will teach you to run our household. We'll have beautiful children. His mother, Mrs. Adana Brooks, seemed warm and welcoming. We're not marrying Asha for possessions, she said sweetly. We're welcoming her because she'll make our son happy. Uncle Jerome gathered what dowry he could, basic household items and $1,500 cash. It wasn't much, but it was all he could afford on his FedEx salary. The wedding at Greater Middle Baptist Church was beautiful. I felt like a princess walking down the aisle. When Jelani said, "I do," and kissed me, I believed I was the luckiest woman alive. But the moment we were alone, his mask came off completely. The next morning, Mrs. Brooks handed me a 3-page list of responsibilities. Wake at 4:30 a.m., prepare breakfast for everyone, clean the entire house, do all laundry, iron everyone's clothes, prepare lunch and dinner, wash dishes, maintain the yard. "Your best needs to be perfect," she said coldly. "We have a reputation to maintain." Every day became the same nightmare. Jelani treated me with complete indifference. He'd come home, eat the dinner I prepared, watch TV, and go to bed without speaking to me. At church on Sundays, he'd pretend to be a loving husband, but at home, he acted like I was invisible. Mrs. Brooks constantly criticized everything I did. Nothing was ever good enough. His sister Zara treated me like hired help, leaving messes for me to clean. After 6 months, Mrs. Brooks started pressuring me about children. A woman's primary purpose is giving her husband children. What kind of wife can't do that? Jelani agreed with his mother. We've been married 6 months. Most couples have good news by now. The truth was, we'd barely been intimate. When we were, it was cold and mechanical with no love involved. After 11 months of this miserable existence, I had accepted this was my life. Then on a Tuesday morning in September, everything changed in the most shocking way. It was 10 a.m. Jelani had left for work. I was washing dishes when the phone rang. I was alone in the house. "Hello, Brooks residence. Is this Mrs. Jelani Brooks?" "Yes, this is Asha Brooks." "Ma'am, I'm calling from Regional 1 Medical Center. Your husband's been in a serious car accident." My heart stopped. The dish slipped and shattered. "What do you mean? Is he hurt?" "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but Mr. Brooks didn't survive. He was pronounced dead on arrival." The world spun around me. I couldn't breathe. That's impossible. He just left for work. He was fine. The accident happened when a semi-truck ran a red light on I-240. We need family to identify the body. Also, due to accident severity, we couldn't preserve the body for viewing. Prepare for a closed casket service. I started crying uncontrollably. Despite everything, Jelani was still my husband. When Mrs. Brooks came home and found me crying, I told her what happened. She immediately started screaming, then turned on me with fury. "This is all your fault. From the day you stepped in this house, nothing but bad luck has followed. You're cursed. You brought death to our family." The funeral was held 3 days later at Olivet Baptist Church. I sat in the front pew wearing black, trying to process that my husband was gone. The closed casket made everything surreal. After the cemetery, people came to offer condolences. But Mrs. Brooks' hostility toward me escalated throughout the day. Finally, when only family remained, she exploded with fury. "You brought this curse into our house," she screamed, pointing at me. "From the day you arrived with your pitiful dowry, nothing but tragedy has followed. Mrs. Brooks, please. I'm grieving too." "Your husband?" she laughed bitterly. "You were never a real wife. Just a burden we took pity on." She slapped me hard across the face. "Get out. Get out right now. I don't want to see your unlucky face." Where will I go? This is my home. I'm family now. You were never family. Just a charity case. Get your things and get out. I gathered my few belongings into one suitcase. As I walked to the door, Mrs. Brooks called out final cruelty. Don't think about coming back begging. As far as we're concerned, you're dead to us. At 19, I was a widow, homeless, and completely alone. I walked downtown Memphis with nowhere to go, pulling my suitcase. It was getting dark and cold. I found a park near Beale Street and sat on a bench, not knowing what else to do. That's when I heard a woman crying nearby. 50 feet away, an African-American woman held a small child, rocking and crying softly. Please, Lord, she was saying, if there's any servant of God who can help me, please send them. I'm helpless and my baby will die without help. Despite my desperate situation, I couldn't ignore another's pain, especially with a child's life at stake. I walked over to her. I heard you crying. What's wrong? She looked up with tears streaming. Thank God. My baby is very sick. High fever, unconscious for 2 hours. Regional 1 won't admit him unless I pay $800 upfront. I don't have that money, and they said without treatment, he could have seizures or worse. I looked at the sick child, a beautiful boy about 3 years old, burning with fever, breathing shallowly and rapidly. How much do you need? $800. I looked in my purse. Uncle Jerome had given me $500 cash as a wedding gift for emergencies. It was all the money I had in the world. I only have $500, I said, pulling out all my cash. But maybe the hospital will accept partial payment. A child's life is worth more than money. She stared in shock. You'd give me all your money? You don't even know me. That doesn't matter. Take your baby to the hospital right now. She grabbed my hand and squeezed tightly. May God bless you abundantly for this kindness. May the Lord repay you double. May He turn your mourning into dancing and your sorrow into joy. Something about how she said those words sent chills through me. There was power in her voice, like prophecy. What's your name? My name is Sekai. I'll never forget what you've done tonight. She started walking away, then turned back. Sister, what brought you to this park? You look like you're carrying a heavy burden. I broke down and told her everything, Jelani's death, Mrs. Brooks throwing me out, and having nowhere to go. Sekai listened with compassion. When I finished, she said something shocking. Go back to your husband's house tomorrow morning. Don't ask how I know, but you're going to hear the most amazing news of your life. Your situation is about to change completely. God is about to turn everything around. How can you know that? Mrs. Brooks made clear I'm not welcome. Trust me completely. God works in mysterious ways. What you think is the end is actually the beginning. Go back tomorrow morning, and you'll see the Lord has been working on your behalf. She hailed a taxi and disappeared, leaving me wondering if I'd encountered an angel. I spent that night in the park, cold and scared, but Sekai's words were echoing in my mind. Go back tomorrow morning. Your situation is about to change completely. How could she be so confident? Yet something about her made me believe her words weren't empty comfort. At 8 a.m., I took a bus back to Whitehaven. Approaching the house, I noticed something strange. No cars in the driveway, which was unusual. I used my key, they hadn't asked for it back, and let myself in quietly. Hello? Mrs. Brooks? Anyone home? No response. Complete silence. I walked to the living room and saw something that made my blood run cold. On the coffee table were newspapers I hadn't seen. The Memphis Commercial Appeal headline made my heart stop. Local man fakes death in elaborate insurance fraud scheme. I grabbed the paper with shaking hands. Jelani Brooks, 24, of Whitehaven, was arrested yesterday in connection with elaborate insurance fraud. Brooks, reported dead in a car accident 4 days ago, was discovered alive hiding in a Jackson, Tennessee hotel with his longtime girlfriend, Amara Johnson. The couple planned to collect $250,000 in life insurance and flee to start a new life. The scheme unraveled when hospital officials became suspicious about inconsistencies. Investigation revealed no body matching Brooks' description had been brought to Regional 1 on the alleged accident day. Police found Brooks and Johnson at a Holiday Inn in Jackson. Both charged with insurance fraud, filing false reports, conspiracy, and identity theft. Family members claim they were unaware and believed Brooks actually died. Brooks' wife, Asha Brooks, was reportedly expelled from the family home after the funeral. I sat in stunned silence. Jelani was alive? The funeral was fake? Whose body was in the casket? I heard a car in the driveway. Mrs. Brooks entered alone, looking terrible, hair unkempt, clothes wrinkled, appearing to have cried for days. She was muttering to herself, "How could he do this to us? How could Jelani destroy our reputation? And that poor girl, what we did to that innocent girl." I stepped out from behind the curtain. "Mrs. Brooks." She spun around, shocked. "Asha, you came back. I can't believe you came back after what we did. I read the newspaper. Jelani is alive. Everything was fake." Mrs. Brooks broke down completely, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry. So sorry. We didn't know about the fraud. We really thought Jelani was dead. We thought you brought bad luck. I was angry and heartbroken, and I took it out on you. I threw you out with nowhere to go." "Where is everyone?" "My husband took Zara to Nashville. He's too ashamed to face the community. Everyone's talking about our scandal. Our reputation is destroyed." "And Jelani?" "He's in jail downtown. Him and that woman Amara he's been secretly seeing. Do you know how long he's been cheating? 3 years. Even before you met, and we never knew." The pieces fell into place. Jelani's coldness, lack of interest in our marriage, and treating me like an inconvenience. He'd been in love with someone else the entire time. "Why did he marry me then?" I asked. Mrs. Brooks looked up with shame. "Because we forced him to marry you for dowry money. Amara's family wouldn't let her marry him because they thought he wasn't successful enough. So we convinced Jelani to marry you, thinking your dowry would help him establish himself better. But my dowry was only $1,500. We know that now. We thought your uncle was being modest. When we realized how little you brought, we were disappointed and took our anger out on you. So Jelani planned this fake death scheme to escape our marriage? He and Amara cooked it up. The plan was for him to die, collect insurance money, and then use it to start a new life together somewhere else. They found some homeless man who had died and used his body for the funeral. I felt sick. And you all believed it? The hospital called and told us he was dead. We never saw the body because they said it was too damaged. We had no reason to doubt it. But Asha, the worst part is what we did to you. We threw you out in the cold with nowhere to go when you needed support most. Mrs. Brooks, I need to see him. I need to talk to Jelani. She looked surprised. Why would you want to see him after everything? Because I need closure. I need to understand how he could do something so cruel. Mrs. Brooks drove me to Shelby County Jail. Eventually, I was seated in the visiting room waiting for Jelani. When he appeared in an orange jumpsuit, handcuffed, he looked shocked to see me. Asha, I never expected to see you here. I read about it in the newspaper. The whole city knows about your fraud scheme. Look, I know you must be angry. Angry? Jelani, you let me believe you were dead. I grieved for you. I cried for you. I mourned our marriage. And the whole time, you were alive, hiding with another woman you've been with for 3 years. He looked ashamed. I never meant for it to go this far. The plan was supposed to be simple. Fake death, get insurance money, and disappear. I didn't think about how it would affect you. You didn't think about me at all. You never thought about me from the day we married. You married me under false pretenses, treated me like a servant, then faked your death to escape. What kind of person does that? Someone who felt trapped. Someone forced into a marriage he never wanted. Nobody forced you, Jelani. You could have said no. You could have told me the truth about Amara. You could have been honest instead of making me believe you cared. For the first time, Jelani's facade cracked. Tears flowed down his face. You're right. Completely right. I was a coward and selfish. I destroyed your life because I was too weak to stand up to my family and too scared to pursue what I really wanted. And what was that? Amara. I've been in love with her since high school. But her family thought I wasn't good enough. They wanted her to marry someone wealthy. So when my family suggested marrying you for dowry money, I thought maybe if I could get financial resources, eventually Amara's family would accept me. So you used me. I used you, and I'm sorrier than you'll ever know. You deserved a husband who loved you, who cherished you, who treated you like the beautiful, kind woman you are. Then why not just divorce? Why the elaborate fake death scheme? Because divorce would have been a scandal in our church community. And Amara came up with the insurance fraud idea. She said we could take the money and start fresh somewhere new. I stared at this man who had caused me so much pain, and surprisingly, I felt pity. Jelani, despite everything, I forgive you. He looked up in shock. What? I forgive you. Not because what you did was acceptable, but because carrying hatred will only hurt me. You'll live with the consequences of your choices, but I'm choosing to let go of anger so I can heal. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about what you deserve. It's about what I choose to do with my pain. And I choose healing over hatred. I stood to leave, then turned back one final time. I hope someday you'll learn to be honest with yourself and others. I hope you'll learn that love built on deception never lasts, and that real love requires courage, not cowardice. When I returned with Mrs. Brooks, she seemed like a different person. The guilt had broken through her prideful exterior. Asha, I know we can never undo what we've done, but please let us make it right. This is still your legal home. You're still Jelani's wife, making you our daughter-in-law. We want to care for you the way we should have from the beginning. Mrs. Brooks, I appreciate that, but I think it's time for me to start my own life. I can't stay in a marriage built on lies, and I can't live where I'll always be reminded of this pain. What will you do? Where will you go? I thought about Sekai's words, God is about to turn everything around. I don't know exactly, but I believe God has a plan for my future. I believe He's going to open doors I never could have imagined. Mrs. Brooks pulled out an envelope. This is $8,000. It's all we have saved. Please take it as a start for your new life. And Asha, watching you handle this with such grace and forgiveness has taught me more about Christianity than all my years of church. 3 days later, I was in Greater Middle Baptist Church praying about my future when Pastor Johnson approached. Asha, I've been praying about your situation, and I believe God has given me a word for you. What is it, Pastor? There's a family in our church, the Washingtons, who've been looking for someone to help care for their elderly grandmother. Mrs. Washington has dementia, and they need someone with a kind heart and gentle spirit to be her companion. They're offering room, board, and an excellent salary. But more than that, I believe this could be the beginning of God restoring everything stolen from you. The next day, I met the Washington family. They were professionals in their 50s caring for 82-year-old Mrs. Sarah, who had early-stage dementia. We need someone to be a friend and companion to Grandma Sarah, Linda explained. Someone to help her maintain dignity and quality of life. When I met Mrs. Sarah, I felt an immediate connection. She was elegant, a retired teacher with wonderful humor despite her diagnosis. You have kind eyes, child, she said. I can tell you've been through difficult times, but you haven't let them make you bitter. That's rare and precious. The Washingtons offered me a beautiful room in their East Memphis home, plus salary more than enough to save for my future. But more than that, they treated me like family from day one. 6 months later, sitting in the same downtown Memphis park where I'd met Sekai, I reflected on how completely God had transformed my life. I was no longer the scared, abandoned girl thrown out with nowhere to go. I was now a confident young woman with purpose, loving family, financial security, and unshakable faith. The Washingtons had become like real parents. Mrs. Sarah and I had developed beautiful friendship. I'd also started online college courses to become a certified nursing assistant, with their full support. As I sat on that same bench where my life changed forever, I heard familiar footsteps. Asha. I turned around. There was Sekai, walking toward me with a healthy, smiling little boy holding her hand. Sekai, how are you? How is your son? We're both doing wonderfully, thanks to your incredible kindness, she said, eyes bright with joy. The money you gave that night saved my baby's life. The doctors treated his fever and infection, and he made complete recovery. I looked at the little boy, now healthy and beautiful. He looks so strong and happy. He is. And so are you. I can see it written all over your face. God has been faithful, hasn't He? Yes. Everything you said that night came true exactly as you predicted. My situation did change completely. God did turn everything around in ways I never could have imagined. Sekai smiled that same otherworldly smile. I knew He would. Sometimes God allows us to walk through dark valleys so we can truly appreciate the beautiful mountaintops. Your valley is behind you now, Asha. Your mountaintop season is just beginning. How did you know? That night, how did you know with such certainty everything would work out? Sekai's smile became mysterious. Sometimes God sends His angels to encourage His children during their darkest moments. Sometimes those angels look like ordinary people who happen to be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time with exactly the right message. Before I could ask what she meant, she hugged me and said, "Keep trusting God completely, Asha. Your greatest blessings are still ahead of you." As she walked away with her son, I realized I still didn't know her last name or how to contact her. It was like she'd appeared exactly when I needed hope most, and now she was disappearing just as mysteriously. But her prophecy had been fulfilled perfectly. God had indeed turned my mourning into dancing, my sorrow into joy, and my ending into a beautiful new beginning. And so, dear friends, this is how my story of heartbreak became hope, how my season of loss became restoration, and how what seemed like the worst night of my life became the turning point toward my greatest blessings. I learned that sometimes God allows painful experiences not to punish us, but to prepare us for something far better than we could imagine. Sometimes He removes wrong people to make room for right people. Sometimes He closes doors we thought we wanted opened, so He can open doors that lead to our true destiny. Today, I want to encourage anyone going through their own dark valley to hold on to hope. Your current situation is not your final destination. The pain you're experiencing today is not the end of your story. God sees you, He loves you, and He has a plan to turn everything around for your good. If this story touched your heart and gave you hope, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that miracles are still possible. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories of faith, hope, and God's amazing power to transform any situation. Remember, no matter how dark your night might be, joy comes in the morning. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Thanks for watching.